there's a battle coming for the public opinion, if that makes sense.
It's heating up.
Two sides, right?
Heating up, yeah.
And there's the side that thinks that things are bad because there's too much hate in the world, and they want to have hate speech policed aggressively, and you can't say anything negative about any minority groups, anyone who's ever been disenfranchised. You must protect those groups, and it's getting more and more and more protected, right? And there's another group of people that feel like that's gone too far, and that people are being sensitive, and that there should be freedom of speech, and they're getting frustrated with the amount of protection that is being given to people at the expense of truth, let's say, in their minds.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to win, but I know people on both sides, and each of them is getting more fervent as time goes on. The people who feel like there's a disrespect to certain groups think it's worse than ever. You know, they cried when Trump was elected, and they think things have only deteriorated from there, and there's a lot of anger and a lot of sadness and a lot of fear. And on the other side, there's a lot of frustration, a lot of perceived slights against them, being assumed that I'm bad because I'm not one of these protected groups. And they're starting to get really pissed off at being told that they're the bad guy just because of the way they look or whatever. Yeah. And so it's interesting because I've noticed no matter...
Do you know people on both sides of that?
Sure do.
I would love to sit one on that couch and one on this couch and talk to them.
I would love that too. So the one I can think of is definitely not going to do that because he's a pretty successful finance guy, and so he just wants to stay out of the spotlight and do his job and make bank, you know?
Which side is... I mean, I could guess. Which side is he on?
Oh, he hates the censorship, and he thinks people should be able to tell jokes and all that stuff.
Got it. And what about the other side? Could we get that person on here?
Probably. I could probably find somebody who thinks that.
Because I certainly, when I watch
You want me to find someone who thinks that the Dave Chappelle special is bad because even if it's funny, you shouldn't make jokes about it.
Or that it's not fun. Yes, you shouldn't make certain types of jokes. I'd love to talk to someone.
I can try to find someone
I don't feel like that. I feel there were jokes that I was like, but also I might not agree with what you say, but I defend to the death your right to say. Not to the death. Well, I think it might have been misattributed to Voltaire.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was Voltaire. But in any event, I wouldn't actually defend to the death because I'm a coward. But
you can win.
I will get on a podcast and say that you should. So I would love to have that conversation because I admit to not really being able to capture the essence of the other side. I don't understand it. I think it comes down to the belief that words create violence or even that words are violence. And I don't understand it, is my honest feel, and I would like to. So if somebody who could be a good representative of that would get on, I would like to talk to them.
All right. I gotta do. It's tough, man. I gotta find someone that thinks that and is as smart as you, because I think you could take either side and win just because you're really good at.
I will not try to win. I will try to ask questions.
Okay.
And crush them.
You're a philosophy major. Your brain is honed for finding.
For finding logical
flaws
arguments.
in arguments.
Sure. But I'll try to find. I'll make it my goal, quite frankly, to find the holes in both sides, because I think
we need a very left-leaning philosophy major.
Typically, when you have large groups of people that believe either thing, there's elements of truth in either side. And I
see both sides.
Yeah, I believe that to be the case, and I can see how saying mean things can create such an internal environment in another person that it is hostile in a way that hitting them could be hostile. So I'd love to talk to them about the boundaries and that kind of stuff. But just interesting, man. It's going to heat up. It's only going to get worse. I see it happening.
I'm sure. I have no idea how it's going to end. You know, obviously you have certain.
The election is a proxy for it, man. The election is a proxy for it. This is kind of what people are taking sides, and it becomes a political divide and not just this is maybe a decent segue.
Whoa!
The book that I'm reading is about how I'm still reading it from last week. It's called The Righteous Mind. I know that people have been asking me to say the books I'm reading. And it's about, in part, how differences in temperament create political differences. And what appear to be political differences are actually just differences in what you value. So conservatives will value tradition, cleanliness, orderliness more than liberals, who will value caretaking, caring for the feelings and the experiences of others. And they define fairness differently, and we are experiencing this. People who tend to fall on the liberal spectrum define fairness as generally being equal. And people who fall on the conservative side, at least of the American political spectrum, define it as being proportionate to what you put into a system. And I think I mentioned this. You see that with they are they will advocate for veterans because they feel that veterans,
people,
yes,
because they've paid their dues,
they've put into the group,
and they deserve
proportionally to take care out. Versus if you care more about caring and you go, well, those people fought in a war and they hurt other people, so they should get the same equal thing. Like you just get very different outcomes depending on your values, which is fascinating.